My dear son, my dear daughter, why do you allow the weight of worry to rest so heavily upon your chest? Why do you let the fear of what may come steal the peace that is already promised to you? I see you when you lie awake, your mind filled with questions, replaying every detail of your life and wondering if everything will fall apart. I see your tears, the ones no one sees, and I tell you, stop worrying, my child, for your constant fear is building walls where faith was meant to blossom. Worry is the whisper of doubt that tries to convince you that you are alone when you are not. It makes you forget that heaven has already gone ahead of you, preparing paths even before you take your first step. When you worry excessively, you close your heart to the gentle flow of divine grace. It's like turning off the light in a room where sunlight was waiting to enter. My dear child, your worry does not change tomorrow. It only steals the strength you need today. Every night when you close your eyes in exhaustion, heaven watches over your sleep. You do not know the countless dangers that are turned away from your life each day because of divine mercy. But still, when morning comes, your first thought is often fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of losing what you love, fear of what's coming next. I ask you, my beloved, how long will you let this fear be your master? I do not say this to condemn you, but to awaken you. You have been carrying weights that I never asked you to carry alone. You have been trying to solve everything by your own strength, forgetting that I, your mother, walk beside you. Every sigh of yours is heard in heaven. Every silent pain is noticed. But when you fill your mind with worry, your soul becomes deaf to my voice. You pray, but you cannot feel me, because your thoughts speak louder than your faith. Worry is not only a mental burden, it is a spiritual poison. It weakens your ability to hear the whisper of peace that heaven constantly sends. When you let worry take control, your prayer becomes a repetition of fear rather than an act of trust. You may kneel and speak words of faith, but deep down, your heart is saying, what if it doesn't happen? What if I am forgotten? My child, these words, unspoken but felt, create invisible chains around your blessings. I am warning you now because the time is short. Anxiety is not just a feeling. It is a door the enemy uses to steal your hope. He plants small doubts in your mind, saying, what if God doesn't care? Or what if nothing changes? And before you know it, you stop believing. Not because you truly want to, but because fear grows louder than faith. But I tell you today, silence this voice. You are not alone. Every tear has been counted, and every pain has a divine purpose. My beloved son, my beloved daughter, you think of the future with such fear because you believe everything depends on your actions. But faith is not about control. Faith is about surrender. It's about releasing the illusion that you can hold everything together when only heaven holds the thread of your destiny. You are fighting storms that were never meant to destroy you, only to purify your soul, to strip away false securities and deepen your trust. The constant rush of your heart is not what I desire for you. The sleepless nights, the torment of what-ifs, the endless cycle of imagining everything that could go wrong, these are not the signs of someone living under divine grace. You were created to rest in the arms of peace, not to live as a slave to uncertainty. There are moments when you feel like your world is collapsing. Bills unpaid, relationships broken, health uncertain. You cry out, asking, why is this happening to me? And even though heaven is near, you feel distant, thinking your prayers have gone unheard. But I say to you, my child, none of your tears are wasted. Every whisper of pain has been recorded in the heart of my son. Every suffering you endure is seen by the eyes of love. Yet, to receive what heaven has prepared for you, you must stop drowning in fear and start breathing in faith. When you remember everything I have already done for you, the times you thought it was the end and it wasn't, the moments of despair where help suddenly appeared, why do you forget so easily? Why do you return to fear when I have proved countless times that I am faithful? Let today be the day you decide to break this cycle. Surrender your worry into my hands, and I will carry what you no longer can. Imagine, my child, a small bird resting on a tree branch during a storm. The wind blows, the rain falls, but the bird remains calm, not because it trusts the branch, but because it trusts its wings. I have given you spiritual wings, faith, hope, and love. When life shakes the branch beneath you, do not panic. Trust your wings. Trust the one who gave them to you. I know that sometimes it seems impossible. I know that your pain feels too heavy to just let go. But it is precisely when you can't see the way out that heaven begins to work more intensely. Your role is not to worry about how, Your role is to believe that it will be done. Every delay hides a purpose. Every silence hides protection. Every no hides a greater yes, aligned with divine love. Do not look at your life and say everything is lost. Say instead, Mother, teach me to trust again, because that humble prayer, born from surrender, opens the door to miracles. Faith doesn't always change what you see, but it always changes how you see. What feels like a closed chapter may be the beginning of a new story destined to glorify God through your perseverance. When you are tempted to think nothing will ever change, remember, worry only drains your strength, but faith multiplies it. You can continue to fight battles in your mind, or you can let peace fight for you. Choose peace. Choose to believe beyond what your eyes see. You are not walking alone. I am with you, walking beside you through every valley of tears. You cannot see tomorrow, but that doesn't mean it's empty of hope. The future is already held in the hands of love. So do not speak words of fear. Speak life into your day. Say, I am not forgotten. I am not forsaken. Heaven is working for me right now. And as you repeat these words with faith, you will begin to feel the chains of anxiety fall. Your heart will begin to rest in the truth that nothing escapes divine control. My dear son, my dear daughter, heaven is calling you to rest. The world around you screams of chaos, but your heart was created to echo peace. Stop seeking answers that only time can reveal. Live one day at a time in the grace that is available today. Tomorrow's grace will come when tomorrow arrives. For now, release your tight grip and trust that you are safe. You are seen. You are loved beyond measure. So when fear tries to visit again, remember this message. Lift your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and whisper, I choose to trust. This is your victory. This is the moment heaven begins to reorder everything that once seemed impossible. For every time you choose faith over worry, a new miracle starts to form. Write in the comments, I choose to trust. My dear son, my dear daughter, how many times have you looked around and felt like everything was collapsing? How many nights have you felt trapped in silence, crying inside your heart, wondering if heaven has forgotten your name? You try to stay strong, but your strength fades. You hope, but life seems to delay every promise. You pray, yet all you hear is silence. And in that silence, fear whispers, nothing is happening. God has abandoned you. But I tell you with infinite love, the silence of heaven is not abandonment. It is preparation. It is the mysterious hour when heaven's hands are working behind the scenes, weaving answers that your eyes cannot yet see. When you see no way out, that is the moment you must believe more, not less. Every closed door hides an invisible solution that heaven is arranging for you. The delay that torments you is often divine protection, preventing you from entering paths that would have destroyed you. My dear child, when everything seems motionless, heaven is moving in ways that your human eyes cannot perceive. You remember the seed buried beneath the soil. For many days, it looks lifeless. You see only dirt. But deep below, where no one can see, transformation is happening. The roots are forming, strength is growing, and at the right moment, life breaks through the surface. So it is with your pain. You think nothing is happening, but your roots of faith are growing strong in silence. There are moments when your life feels like that dark soil, heavy, silent, cold. And you say to yourself, God, where are you? Why don't you speak to me? And I say to you, my dear son, my dear daughter, heaven is speaking all the time, but not always with words. Sometimes he speaks with stillness so that you learn to trust beyond understanding. The greatest miracles often start with an unanswered prayer, because the silence becomes the space where faith truly grows. Heavenly work is never rushed. Divine timing is always perfect. What you see as delay is in truth the clock of heaven aligning everything for your good. The person you think you lost, the opportunity that vanished, the door that closed, all of these are seeds being hidden for a time. When the moment is right, what belongs to you will return in a way more glorious than you imagined. My beloved child, I see how much you desire answers. You ask me, Mother, why is nothing changing? But I ask you, what if everything is being arranged for something greater than your limited view? What if the silence you fear is the moment before the miracle bursts into your life? When you cannot see, that is when I need you to believe more. Heaven never sleeps. Your prayers do not fall into emptiness. They rise and return as blessings, sometimes through roads you did not expect. You must understand, my child, that faith is not proven when everything goes right. Faith shines its brightest when the night seems endless. When the darkness tries to convince you that it has won, faith stands as a candle burning against the wind. And I, your mother, protect that flame. Every time you choose to believe, even trembling, your light grows stronger, and the darkness loses power. Never underestimate a prayer whispered through tears, for heaven counts every one of them as a precious gem. There are moments when you feel crushed, when even breathing seems like an effort. And yet, even then, heaven is near. Do you know that sometimes the miracle happens not around you, but inside you? When pain breaks you, and yet you choose love anyway, that is a miracle. When fear surrounds you, and yet you choose to trust, that is a miracle. When you feel lost, but choose to keep walking, that is heaven working through your courage. I want to teach you something divine. Every unanswered prayer has a reason. Sometimes heaven delays so you can grow in strength. Sometimes you must travel through the valley before reaching the mountaintop so that when you arrive, you know who guided you there. You will not always understand what heaven does in the moment, but later, when you look back, you will see that every detour was a hidden act of mercy. You ask, "Why must I suffer, Mother?" And I answer, because suffering purifies. It awakens compassion. It teaches the soul that love is not about comfort, but about trust. You are not being punished. You are being polished. Just as gold is refined by fire, your soul is refined by trials. The flames do not come to destroy you. They come to reveal your brilliance. Every person who walks by faith will one day face silence. It is the divine classroom of trust. But if you remain still and continue to pray, you will realize that the silence was never empty. It was filled with invisible grace building your miracle from the inside out. Think of the sea, my child. When the tide retreats, it seems like everything is gone. But the retreat is only a preparation for a greater wave to come. So it is with your blessings. When everything seems to be taken away, get ready, because heaven's wave of restoration is about to return with strength. You must hold your faith firm when the water recedes. Right now, as you listen, heaven is working in hidden places, softening hearts, opening paths, removing enemies, preparing encounters. There are blessings being aligned that you cannot yet imagine. You see only the surface, but I see the divine movement in depth. And I tell you this with conviction, nothing that belongs to you will ever be lost when you trust heaven's timing. When you want to give up, remember, the enemy wants you to quit right before the breakthrough. He knows that those who endure receive what others abandoned. Every time you say, "I will keep believing," even through tears, you crush the voice of despair and strengthen the angels who fight for you. My dear son, my dear daughter, you are not forgotten. Even now, angels of light surround you, keeping you safe from what you cannot see. Every time you felt something stop you from a bad decision, that was heaven protecting you. Every chance that disappeared was not rejection. It was redirection. If only you could see from heaven's perspective, you would thank God for the thousands of invisible deliverances you never noticed. Do not think that your prayers are too small or your faith too weak. A single whisper of hope from your heart moves heaven more than the grand speeches of those who do not believe. Say to yourself every morning, "Even when I cannot see it, heaven is working for me." That declaration of faith stops anxiety and opens the way for peace. So tonight when you pray, I want you to talk to me not as someone far away, but as your mother holding your trembling hands. Tell me everything, your fears, your pains, your doubts, and then leave them with me. Do not take them back. I will carry what you cannot carry anymore. I will guide you to the peace your soul has forgotten. Trust that even without visible signs, your miracle has already begun taking shape in heaven. When dawn comes after a night of tears, it doesn't erase the pain you felt, but it proves that light always returns. So too will joy return to you. Heaven is not still. It is waiting for your heart to believe again. Let go of the control you cling to. Trust the unseen. Believe that the silence today is the sound of a miracle being built for tomorrow. And when your mind begins to worry again, breathe deeply and remember, there is more happening than your eyes can see. Heaven's plans are never late. Every prayer is recorded. Every faithful heart is remembered. Every sacrifice is seen. My beloved, heaven is working right now for your family, your healing, your dreams, and your destiny. You don't need to understand everything to rest in peace. You only need to trust, because when you cannot see the way, it is heaven itself lighting the next step before your feet. Write in the comments, "Heaven is working for me." Perfect. Let's continue with Chapter 3 of Virgin Mary Says, "Stop worrying about this." This chapter deepens the theme, showing how prayer replaces anxiety and opens the door to miracles. Chapter 3. Worry weakens your faith, but prayer transforms pain into miracles. My dear son, my dear daughter, how many times have you prayed, yet allowed worry to take over your heart the moment you finished your prayer? You speak to heaven, but before the echo of your words fades, fear speaks louder, saying, "What if nothing happens?" My beloved, when you pray and still choose to worry, you are watering both the seed of faith and the weed of doubt at the same time. And whenever both grow together, the weed suffocates the seed. Prayer is not just words, prayer is surrender. It is the language of the soul crying out, "I can't, but heaven can." When you pray sincerely, something in the invisible world begins to shift. Even if you see nothing yet, waves of grace start moving to align everything according to divine will. Worry, however, interrupts that movement. When you pray, and then go back to fear, you undo in your soul what faith had already begun to build. Understand this, my child. Worry is the enemy of faith because it focuses your eyes on the storm instead of the Savior. Just like Peter walking on the water, the moment he looked at the wind instead of my son, he began to sink. You too begin to sink when you focus on your problems instead of heaven's power. But when your eyes stay fixed on faith, you walk on the very waves that were meant to drown you. Prayer is your bridge over troubled waters. When your heart trembles, do not run away, pray. When your strength fails, do not panic, pray. When your thoughts scream that you are alone, silence them with prayer. Prayer connects you directly to the throne of mercy, where your tears become petitions and your sighs become songs before heaven. Never underestimate your prayer, even if it's made in weakness. The smallest prayer said with faith shakes the darkest walls of despair. There are moments when you pray and feel nothing. No sign, no word, no peace. Yet that silence does not mean your prayer was ignored. It means heaven is already at work in the silence. Sometimes heaven answers immediately, sometimes it answers later, because the timing must align with other souls, other events, and other miracles connected to your story. But no prayer is ever wasted. Every time you kneel to speak with heaven, you plant a seed in divine soil, and it will grow in its season. My dear daughter, my dear son, when worry dominates your heart, prayer becomes an empty routine. You talk, but you don't listen. True prayer is not about asking endlessly, but about resting in the certainty that heaven hears you. It is speaking, yes, but also waiting in silence, trusting the answer will come. You don't need to pray perfectly. You only need to pray honestly. The heavens open not for perfect words, but for sincere hearts. I have seen my children cry while praying, thinking their tears are a sign of weakness, but tears are sacred. Every tear you shed in prayer writes your story in the heart of heaven. Angels collect those tears and present them before the eternal throne as offerings of trust. That's why I say, your prayers and tears never go unnoticed. When all you have left is your cry, even that cry becomes a weapon. You think you are falling apart, but in heaven, your cry sounds like faith being born again. Worry, however, blinds you to this truth. It whispers that prayer is useless, that it won't change anything. That is the enemy's lie. The enemy fears when you pray because he knows prayer awakens heaven's power and restores your courage. That is why he tries to confuse you with doubt. But I tell you, don't stop praying just because you don't see instant results. The roots of your miracle are growing underground, deep, where your eyes cannot see. Keep watering them with faith, and one morning, your breakthrough will rise like the sun. Do not compare your journey to others. You see someone's blessing and ask, "Why not me?" Yet you don't know how long they prayed before their answer came. Some waited years, others fought silent battles nobody knew. Every story has its divine rhythm. Yours too is being written with precision, word by heaven's own hand. Your task is to stay faithful in prayer until your chapter of victory unfolds. My beloved, you think prayer changes God's mind, but in truth, it changes your heart. Prayer opens your soul to receive the peace already promised. You may not always get what you asked for, but you will always receive what you need most. Sometimes heaven answers by saying no, but that no is protection, not rejection. One day, you will look back and thank heaven for not giving you what you once begged for, because every time heaven withholds something, it is because something greater is coming. I know the waiting hurts. I know you want quick answers, but faith is not built in comfort, it is built in waiting. You do not become strong when life is easy. You grow strong when you choose to keep praying, even in the middle of uncertainty. Every time you pray through pain, you add another brick to the foundation of your miracle. And when the walls of your faith are ready, heaven will pour out the blessings that were waiting for your heart to be prepared. There will be days when prayer feels dry and you'll think, I've prayed enough. Nothing changes. That's when you must pray with even more determination. For waiting is not inactivity. It's training. It's the time when heaven fortifies your character, so that when the miracle comes, you can sustain it. The blessing is not only in the answer, it's in the transformation you go through while waiting. I want you to imagine your worry as heavy stones you've been carrying for years. Every anxious thought adds another stone to your bag, until you can barely move. But when you pray, truly surrendering, it's as if heaven removes one stone at a time. And when you finally trust fully, the bag becomes light, and you can walk again, no longer burdened by what once imprisoned you. Your life is not meant to be a cycle of fear and frustration. It is meant to be a path of peace and power. Each time you turn worry into prayer, you disarm the enemy and release heaven's strength into your situation. It may not happen overnight, but it happens. Each prayer leaves a trace of light behind you. And one day when you look back, you'll see that those small rays of faith formed a road that led you straight to your miracle. So do not pray only when you're desperate. Pray in gratitude. Pray even when your tears stop flowing. Pray when you rise, and pray before you sleep. Prayer is the breath of your soul. Without it, you suffocate spiritually. But with it, even the darkest night is filled with hope. Prayer transforms pain because it reminds you that you are not fighting alone. When you pray, heaven fights with you, and impossible doors begin to open. And one last truth I leave in your heart, my dear child. Heaven always responds to faith, not fear. The moment you stop worrying and begin thanking heaven in advance, your miracle accelerates. Gratitude after the miracle is good, but gratitude before the miracle is faith. So tonight, instead of anxious thoughts, whisper a prayer of gratitude. Thank you, heaven, for working even when I don't see. Thank you for being faithful when I am weak. Those words unlock divine action faster than all your worry ever could. You were not created to live with fear, but to walk clothed in peace. You are stronger than the storm because heaven lives within you. Stop letting worry weaken the very power that prayer awakens. Let the sacred words rise in your soul and bring light to every shadow of doubt. Write in the comments, prayer changes everything.